What's up, fight fans and YouTube family? We are back with another edition of Round One Sports Talk, and in this episode, I want to talk about some of the biggest, interesting things right before your eyes in boxing. And this is a video that you are not going to want to miss. Please watch the video in its entirety. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Please share the video and click your bell notification icon to get all your boxing latest news. So, without further ado, let's get right into the video. So, we were just sitting back, and this guy right here, okay, don't say nothing because I'm recording, okay. This guy right here is trying to tell me that Terrence Crawford has the best record in all of boxing, and unfortunately, he has one of the biggest accomplishments in all of boxing, but he doesn't have the best record in all of boxing. Hear me out. Stay with me. Now, he is undefeated, and he has 3 weight divisions, and he has just recently successfully unified all 4 belts in 2 separate weight divisions. And I keep telling this guy not to bring this up because the argument is that the Japanese superstar Naoya Inoue is about to do just that against Tapales. He has the chance to be the second man to do that. And that's the reason why I don't want to bring that up and bring it into the equation. Because once he does it, Terrence Crawford is no longer going to be unique. Meaning there's another man that has done it. And the only way to start separating the two is by what they accomplished. And if Terrence Crawford is, obviously coming in on the tail end of his career, he's undefeated, okay? And he just has way more fights than the Japanese fighter. The Japanese fighter has done more in little time than what it took Terrence Crawford to do. In fact, it took Terrence Crawford 6 years to get his first world title. It took the Japanese kid 6 fights. Now, kudos to his dad, Shingo, and his management to early in Naoya Inoue's career that he specified he didn't want no tune-up fights, right? He wanted to come in and quickly contest for world championships. And his father pretty much knew that his son was a good fighter. But his father didn't want to just throw him into the deep end. He wanted his son to prove himself first. So he said, son, you want to crack at a world title? Show me that you can win at least these kind of fights. So he put him to fight against the Pacific champion, right? He beats him. He wins the Oriental Japanese championship as well. Now, those are not world titles, but those are the kind of belts you want your fighter to see if he could at least beat that level of competition, so that to determine whether or not he's ready for a world title. So in only his 6th professional outing, his father, Shingo, felt that his son was ready to fight for a world title. And in fact, I talk about this because I say that he did it at the purest. Meaning, Vasil High-Tech Lomachenko did it in 4, but he came out of the Olympics not having 1, but 2 gold medals, which kind of catapulted his career in the right trajectory to get himself a world title fight so early in his career. In fact, most of us know this, that he did get a world title fight at only his 2nd professional fight. Most fighters that lose the world title fight, it usually takes them quite some time to get back in front of another champion to get another opportunity. Not Vasil High-Tech Lomachenko. He loses his 2nd fight. He loses that fight. On his 4th professional fight, guess what? Another shot at a world title. Wow, that's remarkable. But the Japanese superstar did it with no gold medal, no promotional backing, no hype. No one knew who he was. In fact, when he challenged the champion must have looked at his photo and was like, yeah, I'll fight this guy. Look at him, right? And from there on in, he has proven time and time again with each fight that he is the real deal. Although many people try to discredit his skills and his abilities. and they try to put it by loaded hand wraps or steroid testing, like if every fighter in the United States of America is just clean as hell. These are just ridiculous statements, and I'm not saying that it would make it right if he was doing steroids, but he's not the only person. You can just turn around and say that. You can say that about any boxer. So that's kind of like the boxers nowadays go to. If a guy's that good, oh, he's on steroids. We don't believe he's just naturally doing that. And I think that the Japanese fighters, they're very honor. They have a lot of honor, and I see him competing to the, as fairies. I don't want to answer this for him, because I really don't know him, but I do know that he truly has the speed, the ring IQ, the power, the punch placement, and steroids is not going to give you that. If you don't know anything about steroid use doesn't make you a better fighter. No, it does not. It just maximizes what you can already do for a long period of time. Meaning, if you only had the ability in the real training to perform at a high level for one round, the steroid will allow you to perform at that level for the 6 rounds you have the fight scheduled for, whatever it was. You see, it won't turn you into Floyd Mayweather. It's not going to give you cat-like reflexes, right? But what it will do is will heighten your senses. So it kind of seems like it's cheating for you, but in actuality, at some point in the fight, you could have performed to that level. So what it does is it makes you perform at that level for a longer period of time. That's what steroids does for you. It doesn't turn you into Mike Tyson. No. If it did that, everybody would be, knocking everybody out and everything. No. You already had that kind of power, but you weren't able to sustain it for a long period of time. The steroid allows you to sustain it and carry your power through the other rounds. It didn't give you more power. It just allowed you to carry your power. That's what it does. So, in fact, if a fighter was cheating or using steroids, he's just fighting at the end, which is very dangerous. Because there are some steroids out there that are eye-to-eye coordination steroids, and you're getting hit with shots you normally would not have gotten hit with, because this guy wouldn't have been as sharp as he was, and that you can really get hurt with using them. That's why performance enhancing drugs are not allowed, because there are steroids that will make you accurate as fuck, and your twitch muscles, you'll respond. But like I said, you've always had the ability to be that accurate. It was just your level of sustaining it. It didn't make you like super accurate. Without it, you can't be that accurate. No, you are that accurate. But in key moments, can you recognize it to apply it? And that's what it does. So, there are a lot of things that go on in the sport of boxing, and there's sometimes some fighters have to work twice as hard just to get notoriety. The smaller weight divisions don't get the kind of notoriety that these other divisions do get. The reason why you probably know Terence Crawford's fighters better than Naoya Inoue's opponents is because of Terence Crawford. You ever ask yourself that question? Some of the fighters that Terence Crawford fought against, you didn't even know who the hell they were until Terence Crawford fought them. Then Terence Crawford kind of made that person, So had you been paying attention to the Japanese kid's career, then you would know that his competition is at the same level Terence Crawford's competition is. Because you can only fight guys that make the weight. So if he comes in bigger or taller, he made the weight, didn't he? Well, then the Naoya Inoue guys made the weight too, and they're bigger than him too at that weight. It's the same thing. It is the same exact thing. So as far as them being judged on where do I want to judge them? And I keep veering away from the conversation that Terrence Crawford did win and 4 belts in 2 separate weight divisions, and I veer away from that because of the fact that the Japanese fighter is closing in on doing exactly that. So what I want to veer the conversation away from is, wait a minute, we're not judging these guys by belts. We were never supposed to judge them on the pound for pound list by belts anyway. So those 2 little accomplishments, although very impressive, I need to minimize them and take them away, because those belts don't make you the best fighter in the world. Case in point, had Jermell Charlo pulled that off against Canelo Alvarez, would have that made him the best fighter in the world? No. So why is it that those belts make Terrence Crawford the best fighter in the world? They shouldn't. It's what you do in the ring, skill-wise. That's what should count. The Japanese fighter has won 95% of his rounds since the beginning of his career. He has over 20 consecutive world title fights consecutively. He has successfully unified all 4 belts in 1 weight division, and he is currently he has 4 weight divisions, which he is currently the 122-pound champion of the world, which he is now embarking on a journey to try to unify all 4 belts at the 122-pound division. And if you're asking me, coming into the fight with Stephen Kubo Fulton, wasn't he the best 122-pounder in the world? So if he was the best 122-pounder in the world, who's the best now? So who do you have that's going to stop him if he just destroyed the best, according to you guys? And it's true. Stephen Kubo Fulton, in my opinion, was the best 122-pounder we had to offer. Yes. Now, so that's why I say that we should not bring belts into this. It should be measured by skill. And if we were measuring this by skill, the Japanese fighter, in my opinion, has shown the more skill out of the 2, Terrence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson. But that being said, I had the privilege to see some film on Terrence Crawford, and I didn't know this, okay? In fact, the measuring stick that I judged Terrence Crawford on has nothing to do with any of his fights that he's actually had in the ring. None of his pro fights. No. When I found out what kind of fighter Terrence Crawford truly is, in my eyes, in my book, unfortunately, some of you will never get to see this. And I'm not sure if it's even out there on YouTube or anything. But I saw some of the boxing sparring footages against Terrence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson. In certain circles, some people have that footage, and I seen it. And what Terrence Crawford did to Shakur Stevenson, I literally saw Shakur Stevenson's expression on his face change. He was nervous. He was lost a little, and it looked like he was taking it serious, and he was trying to concentrate, and Terrence Crawford was doing whatever he wanted, basically. Once he started opening up and he really found like Shakur Stevenson's timing, his range, and when and how to apply pressure to him, he punished Shakur Stevenson in that ring that day. And it was a sparring session. And I think, in fact, that I'm not sure about this, but I think, in fact, that that was the moment that Shakur Stevenson really started hanging around Terrence Crawford. If you didn't notice, he's been at a lot of his fights. Shakur Stevenson has been right there, front row in the dressing room with Terrence Crawford, and it looks like Terrence Crawford kind of took him under his wing. And I was starting to think that maybe Terrence Crawford was promoting Shakur Stevenson or something, or he had something to do with his management or something. But that's a lie, because he's promoted by Jay Prince and Andrew Ward. You know, Andrew Ward is like his boxing manager, and then Prince is like the promoter or something. So where does Terrence Crawford? So it can't be that he's like that. Then when I saw the footage, it dawned on me. Shakur Stevenson is around Terrence Crawford because probably he's the only man to beat him like that in the ring ever in his life. You don't hang on to a man like that because, you know, you say, if you can do that to me in the ring, teach me. And he accepted that how good of a fighter Terrence Crawford really is. And I've never seen that Terrence Crawford in the ring. But if you can do that to Shakur Stevenson, that says a lot. And that's when I knew how good of a fighter Terrence Crawford truly is. And I started saying to myself, yo, wait a minute, this guy's really in there allowing these people to hit him, do a little lackluster performances, because if he kicks it up a notch, no one's going to want to fight him. And he's not going to. It's bad enough that they don't want to fight him at that level. What if he really showed the world the real version of Terrence Crawford? And if I'm wrong about this, you know, may somebody get this video to Terrence Crawford, and if he, you know, gave me a thumbs up on the video, I would know I would be right. Because I have a good eye for boxing. And I'm telling you right now, what I saw against Terrence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson, I've never seen in the ring in any of his fights. That fighter, I never seen that man, that fight right there. And unfortunately, a lot of you guys will never get to see it. Or maybe they did release it, and I'm probably one of the ones that never got to see the video online. But I never really tried to look it up. You know, but I knew that, I thought that once I saw that Terrence Crawford was never going to release it, because some people would take it and twist it and try to say, oh, look how Terrence Crawford whooped Shakur Stevenson's ass. And they're going to be like, he can't beat him. And quickly they're going to try to put the two Americans against each other. And for that, Terrence Crawford doesn't want to hurt the young man. You know, he wants to guide him in his career too. For that, Shakur Stevenson can be great too as an American fighter. So, you know, it doesn't suit him. You know, but I know what happened in that ring, and it's not like I saw all of them. I would love to see some more of them. You know, I saw what I saw, and that was it. And I'm not saying no more. You know, yeah, you know, that's how good he really is. So when I want to compare him against the Japanese superstar, you know, the Japanese superstar was pushed to his limits. And if I want to be honest with you right now, Donaire, when he fought Donaire and Donaire won, Donaire did a lot better than I thought coming into that fight, if I can remember correctly. Because when I watched that fight in the World Series of Boxing, when he fought for the Covenant Muhammad Ali trophy, right? Coming into that fight, I just saw Donaire not, you know, getting knocked out, trying to move up in weight, right? So I kind of thought that Donaire wasn't going to beat this kid, but I didn't think it was going to turn out into the fight that it did. Donaire really showed up. You know, there's always that veteran that has that one great performance, and I truly believe that was Donaire's best performance in his later, at the tail end of his career. That was Donaire's best performance against that Japanese superstar. Now, also, this also comes in play in a factor in a lot of fights, and I want to, you know, educate the viewers on how you can misinterpret a performance from a fighter, right? And then see him on his next fight and be like, wow, he looked a little different, you know, and you think that, you know, he's fucking around in the gym and he's not performing well or something like that. That's not the case. Let me explain something, right? When Naoya Inoue fought against Donaire, Donaire knew who the Japanese monster was. Okay, in fact, Naoya, he was in and out of a lot of gyms that Donaire was in and out of when he was 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. Donaire, in fact, had already sparred with him several times. He was very familiar with the Japanese boxer. okay, coming into that fight. And when you're familiar with a person, you can fight that person much more comfortable, and you know what that person has to offer. Case in point, when Vasil High-Tech Lomachenko fought against Jamie Ortiz, if you didn't know this, Jamie Ortiz was Lomachenko's sparring partner for over 3 years. So that's why Lomachenko picked him. Because Lomachenko obviously said, he was really like shining on the kid. But what he didn't know, that the kid wasn't really giving him 100% every time. Because he wasn't there to hurt Lomachenko. He was there to train with him, you see. So when he went into that fight, Jamie Ortiz knew Lomachenko very well. For 3 years, they sparred against each other. And that's why Jamie Ortiz looked that good against a guy like Lomachenko, that they're familiar with one another. Then you just recently saw Jamie Ortiz come into his last bout, and he didn't look like he was against Lomachenko. You know why? Because he needed to take time and find his perfect timing, his opponent's rhythm. He had to check his opponent's speed, his opponent's power. He already knew how hard Lomachenko hits. He already knew Lomachenko's speed. He knew his footwork, how he moved. For 3 years, he was finding ways to utilize it, to cut him off. So that's why when you need to know sometimes the ins and outs. When Donaire went into that fight against the Japanese superstar, he looked that good against him because he knew what Naoya Inoue had to offer. You see, when he came into him with the second fight, Naoya Inoue, he didn't play with him. He no longer respected Donaire. He knew what Donaire brought. He was not going to let Donaire this time catch him with a big shot early. He was going to apply his pressure, and he took care of the job. He finished Donaire. The fight technically could have been over in the first round had they just been 5 more seconds. Literally 5 more seconds. The fight was over in the first round. So, it goes to show when you do know your opponent that much better, you can develop a much better game plan to defeat your opponent. So when I talk about Terence Crawford and the Japanese superstar, I want to talk about just their skills, just what they do in the ring, and it's a tough one. It is really a tough one, and I can see why they are both side by side, because the Japanese guy is so technical and so fundamentally sound, and he does everything right, that his technique is so, polished, that you would want to give him the edge. But if you don't understand the sweet science, what Terence Crawford does in the ring is genius. It is truly, truly genius. These punches that he's setting up these guys for, he set these guys up for these punches 2-3 rounds ago, right? And it was like, go here, go here, go here, bam. He did a lot of playing around in between. And I think that has to do with what I talked about, with the fact that he really didn't want to show all of himself, because if he couldn't get people to fight him with just what he showed them, then if he really opened up, it was going to be tough. So that's why I see now, and I look back at his footages, and I wonder, why was he playing around in these moments? Why wasn't he throwing around? And one fight in particular that comes into mind that proves my theory 100% correctly. Tell me if this didn't happen. At one point, Sean Porter was winning the fight against Terence Crawford. On CopyBox cards, not the official scorecards, on CopyBox boxing cards, right? I think leading into the 10th round or something, that when they whispered into Terence Crawford's ear, they have you losing the fight. Terence Crawford said, what? I'm losing the fight? They said, yeah, they got you down losing the fight. He got up off his stool and knocked him out. Meaning he could have did that whatever round he wanted to. The minute they told him, hey, you're losing the fight, he got up and said, okay, I'm done playing. Whap, 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 over. He could have did that at any time. He allowed Sean Porter to, it's kind of like fighting your homie. He's an American guy. They know each other. They've been around, some boxing circles with each other. And I'm pretty sure he didn't want to embarrass him like that because he didn't really have any animosity towards Sean Porter. He was just another fighter and they were in there doing their jobs. I don't think he really wanted to hurt him like that, but he was going to beat him. He was like, I'm sorry, unfortunately, I'm going to beat you. But, I'm going to let you shine for a few rounds. As soon as they told Terrence Crawford, yo, check it out, you losing. He said, man, the thing you don't know, my man, the dude that told him that, he said, the thing you don't know, I ain't never been losing this fight. I've been in complete control the entire fight. Watch this. And it proves my point. That when he wanted to really turn it up and act like he wanted to get the fight out of the way, that was no coincidence. That was no error. That was no mistake. That was none of that. And when he dropped him, Sean Porter's dad threw in the towel and said, I've seen enough because I see the eye of the tiger in Terrence Crawford's eye right now. And I haven't seen that all fight. And whatever they did, now there's Terrence Crawford right there. I need my son out the ring. Come on, son. That's enough. Enough messing around with them people. Why you go messing with them people? You know what I mean? He rocked them. And that's why. So it's real difficult on a skill basis because I have reservations for Terrence Crawford. He has that mega performance, and there's going to be that young guy that's going to get him in trouble, and he's going to have to really utilize everything he's learned. And let's see if he passes some of his biggest tests because Jerron Booth Ennis is on that ass, boy. You know what I mean? And they're going to have to give him it. I really truly believe that if Jermell Charlo make some smart decisions right now, he needs to get acclimated back to the 154. He has to understand he just went up and he hasn't fought at 154. So he's going to want to get some real good fights in on 154. Taking on Terrence Crawford right away after a loss like that, I don't think that would be a good management and, idea. You might want to get one or two fights, then entertain the Terrence Crawford if he really wants to come up, because Errol Spence Jr. is going to be coming into the division. And the plan was that Jermell Charlo would fight one or two more fights and move up. And that his stablemate, Errol Spence Jr., would come in and clean house on the 154 in a beautiful world. Sometimes plans don't go as planned. Okay, so now Terrence Crawford, he's in a real unique situation, but he has a roll of killers behind him that have all been there and they want their shot. And so it's interesting how it's going to play out, and I always say this too, Terrence Crawford has not closed the door on his career. With every fight, he takes the chance of being defeated. The Japanese superstar Naoya Inoue still has not closed the door on his career. With every fight, he takes a chance of being defeated. So, it's great that we have these two type of men boxing right now, currently, and every other boxer that is out there right now putting in that work, that are giving us these mega fights. Styles make fights, and there are just some fighters that truly, when you put those two fighters in the ring, it's just fireworks. So I love those fights, just like the next big knockout fight. I'm a fan to all aspects of the sport of boxing, and I hope you like what I have to say here today. Please like the video, share the video, comment on the video, give me a thumbs up, and like always, I'm on to the next video. Peace.